What is up, DMV basketball fans? Welcome to another Believe in DMV Hoops. I'm Matt Moderno. I'm joined here today by Erick Green. Eric, appreciate you coming on and thanks for making some time for us.
Nah, man, I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to doing this, man.
Any ACC fans will know that name. You were an absolute stone cold killer. And as a Maryland fan, I just got to ask up front, man, why did you always have to kill my guy so bad?
That's a place actually I really wanted to go. My
Mhm.
father is a big Terp fan,
Okay.
and my uncle's a big Terp fan. So that was actually one of the places I wanted to go, but they didn't recruit me.
Oh, so it's personal then. You had to
Yeah,
take it
yeah,
out on him, right?
always, definitely.
You could just tell there's certain teams when certain guys play against them, it's just like, man, he's going after it extra hard tonight. And I mean, especially senior year, you killed everybody, but always felt like the Terps got a little something extra. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
it was personal, always personal. I really wanted to go there, man. So definitely took that one personal every night we played them.
It's the worst thing you could do is give a good hooper a little extra motivation in a matchup like that too.
Hey, amen.
Before we get too far into this, we're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside Hard Iced Teas, hard lemonades, hard every flavor you can think of, and Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to live in-game betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, you could have bet on Mike Tyson last night if you wanted to. Head to Bet Online today and get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, so just got to start here a little bit, I guess. You're in Italy right now. For folks not familiar, playing for Napoli Basket. You've started your overseas career, if I'm not mistaken, in Italy. You've played there once
Yeah.
before. So was this just a place you wanted to get back to, or I guess walk us through the decision to kind of be back in Italy here?
No, it was actually I was home for a little while,
Okay,
enjoying the time home with my family, spending time with
nice.
my kids. I don't
Hmm.
get a lot of chance to spend a lot of time with them,
Sure.
being gone for 10 months out the year. So it felt good at that. This was a good opportunity to come and get the
Mhm.
chance to play and take a challenge on. They weren't doing so hot,
Sure.
so being a veteran guy and being a competitor like I am, I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. Been to Italy before, I really enjoy it, so it was kind of an easy choice for me.
I guess what are the factors that sort of make that decision? Like, obviously, want to be well compensated for your time and your effort, but
Mhm.
does the style of play matter? Does the type of league matter? Is it comfort of the city you're going to be in? Some of these cities are a little nicer places to spend multiple months out of the year than others. And then obviously certain leagues are a little bit better about paying out what they owe you than others. So like how do you kind of
It's
rank
just
all
fact.
those factors?
For me personally, it was just like you said, like the city's a big deal. Make sure the city's good, make sure I'm safe, my family's safe when they come out and visit. The league's very important. This is a top league in Europe. The Italian league's very well respected. So that's always a good thing. Just stuff like that. Money on time is important,
Yeah.
of course. But like a coach, for me, a coach is very important as well. Does that fit my style? Is he going to use me the right way? If you played in European basketball,
Mhm.
coaches will tell you anything and then get you over there and would try to change you into something that you're not.
Mhm.
So for me to do my homework on a coach, I've heard great things. He lets his guys play, and it was an easy fit for me.
I got to think that's gotten easier over the years here is to kind of do that homework in advance. You can watch tape on these guys a lot more easily. You can more easily connect on social media with guys that played for this coach before or that team before. Is that the kind of homework you're doing, to figure those things out?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, you got social media now. Also, just as players, former players, what they think. You know what I mean? So it's a lot easier nowadays than it was when I first started overseas.
Hmm.
I had no idea. We didn't have social media like that. So, nowadays, like you can find out everything. Even going on YouTube, going to these Liga A websites, whatever the
Hmm.
league's called, and just finding things out. So it's a lot easier.
And for you, you played in a lot of different countries at this point with a lot of guys. You've had a great reputation, great success. So I'm sure, at some point you can find somebody that passed through there or has some overlap with that team. I got to imagine there's a pretty well connected, network of guys you can reach out to too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I talked to two guys from the team last year, and I talked
Mhm.
to a guy on this year's team, Pangos.
Yeah.
So it was easy. All the guys said the same thing, basically. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It was all positive stuff. I mean, nothing's going to ever be perfect anywhere you go. You
Sure.
know, but for the most part, man, everything checked my boxes, and I was ready to go.
I was just in Naples, which was part of the reason I reached out here. Timing seemed right, and it's a cool city, great food,
Oh
some
yeah.
history around and stuff too. If you haven't checked it out, the Seafront Di Martino Pasta Bar was amazing,
Okay.
Michelin
All
star
right.
place, kind
I'll
of right in
definitely do
downtown
that.
there.
I'll
But
definitely do that.
How much opportunity do you get to explore these cities when you're over there, or is it just kind of all business? For the time you're there.
For the most part, it's all business. You know what I mean? We practice like I'm in the gym for about 3 or 4 hours a day.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm longer for treatment and doing extra stuff for my body. But after that, man, I get out. I try to explore the city. I don't like to just sit in the house. I'm
Sure.
over here. I want to enjoy
Yep.
it. When I have my days off, I get out and go tour around the city, go see different
Mhm.
places, stuff like that. So, for me, it's business for a majority of the part, but I always have fun and need to be able to, enjoy and embrace everything that I'm getting a chance to look at out here in this world.
Any team outings for stuff like that, or is it any of the other, like, at least the American players or guys you know? Is that, I mean, is it nice to have that kind of network of guys you can, hey, let's go get dinner somewhere or go, sightsee a little bit?
Oh, for sure. It's great when you have Americans. I have 5 Americans, so we're all
Oh,
cool,
nice.
man.
Yeah.
We all get together, go to lunch, dinner. We're together throughout all practice, but we all try to find a meal to get together and hang out and just relax and get away from basketball. It's very important. You can't be basketball, basketball, basketball. You got to take a step aside and enjoy life, and man, just clear your head. I feel like when you do that, man, life's better, basketball's better. You just got to clear head, clear vision, and you can do your thing.
Yeah, gotta keep the main thing, but if
For
it's the
sure.
only thing, it gets tough after a while too. So, uh, I guess for this team, you mentioned 5 Americans, and I think if there are, some Italians on the team, a lot of them speak English, but was that a harder thing, especially earlier in your career when you've got all these guys on a team and not everybody can kinda communicate easily with each other?
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's very. When I first got here, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. My 12 years ago, my first year out, like I said, we didn't have all this what these kids have now. Um, it, it, People weren't speaking that English. My coach would speak Italian majority of the time. And then definitely when he's mad, and then he would switch to English, or my assistant coach would be the translator.
Yep,
But for the most part, it's not bad. My teammates all speak English. It might be a little broken,
sure.
but it's pretty cool, man. You get to see other people, where they're from, how they do
Mhm.
things, how they speak. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy it. I'd be trying to pick up words and
Sure.
stuff like that. So like I said, I enjoy it. It's fun.
That's cool. Yeah, you make the most of the experience, right? Not that
Exactly
many
right.
people get to go abroad for that long, so
Exactly right.
yeah, that's a good way to look at it. You've played in Greece, Turkey, China, Spain, Israel, Montenegro, Russia, it seems like, and now, obviously back to Italy here. Any favorites of the places you've been so far?
I'm a big Athens guy.
Okay.
I love Athens. Athens was amazing.
Mhm.
The weather, the city, everything about it, man. It was great. I love warm weather. I love being outside. I love the beach. So I'm very easygoing. Also Istanbul. Istanbul is one of my
Mm,
favorite cities.
that's cool.
People sleep on that city. It's definitely you can get into a lot of things out there. I met a lot of good people. So I enjoy it. I mean, I honestly I've been blessed to be able to see so many places in the world, but those two are my favorite.
You don't have to call anyone out specifically if you don't want here, but any least favorite places where, hey, I just ended up in the stop and I knew pretty early on, like, this was not gonna be a fun, year to live essentially.
China.
Really. Just wasn't
You're
for
in the
you?
heart of it's not Panda Express. It's none of that stuff we have here.
Sure.
It's really the heart of China, and
Mhm.
the food's different, the living's different, the culture's different. It was just something like, they pay you a lot of money to go over there and handle your business, but it wasn't a place that, was great to live and,
Mhm.
be over there for a long period of time.
Yeah, I not the first guy I've heard that from too, and,
Yeah.
a buddy of mine went over to there to do some coaching clinics, and he's like, "I ate McDonald's every day after, like, the
Yeah.
3rd day because I just
You
couldn't
couldn't,
adjust."
and you had to eat that before games, after
Yeah,
games, it's not good.
yeah. No, that's good, you kinda learn that for, hey, the next time, whatever the money is here, like,
Fact.
probably not gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Uh, that's super cool. So just how's the team looking this year? How are you feeling about things?
Man, honestly, we're 0-6 right now.
Okay,
We're struggling. We've never had a full team. Everybody's hurt.
gotcha.
When I just got here, we played a game. You know, I got hurt, so it didn't go well. And now that I'm back, our other player that was hurt is back. So it's like we can't all get together, but we have
Yeah,
a good team. We just added me and another guy named Ben Bentel with a great resume, played at high levels.
okay.
So I think we can really help change the team and impact the team. These guys are right there. They've been losing games so close
Mhm.
with a bunch of young guys, but we're looking forward to the challenge and looking forward to this second half of the season so we can get things rolling and hopefully get healthy and have a good year.
How's the Italian league work? Like, do you have an opportunity to get back in this thing? Like, is
Oh
it
yeah,
everybody makes the playoffs kind of thing, and then
top
you're
8 teams out of
okay,
16.
okay,
Yeah. So right now, I mean, it's early. We've only had 7 games, so it's still early. We got a chance to turn this around. And honestly, the league right now, if you win 2 or 3 games, you're kind of back in the mix of things.
nice, okay.
So we're right there. We gotta win a game tomorrow. We got a big game tomorrow. We need to win. Rooting for my guys so we can get this done. And I think we can get it done, get us rolling.
A lot of European leagues, you hear about some of these like more, I don't know, dramatic matchups. You played in the ACC against some of the more like rabid, American fan bases, but what's the difference like, overseas? We always hear from people playing internationally, like it's just different, man. Especially in some of these leagues, like the level of intensity from the fan bases is a tier above what we do over here.
Oh yeah, it's night and day.
Mm.
The fan base is unbelievable, yelling, and they don't stop. Oh, they're yelling all game.
Yep,
Some games you might have like fires, flares,
sure.
people trying to jump over things, spit on you, talk to crazy to you. It's crazy. It really is. But it's honestly cool too to see how much they embrace and care, how much
Hmm.
they love their teams, how much stuff like that. You go around the city, they treat you like they love you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's amazing. So yeah, I mean, like I said, for me personally, it's different than the States. You know what I mean? Like every game is, do or die to them. It's not
Hmm.
like in the States you lose a game. It's like, all right, we'll get the next one. It's kind of like, we got to win this game. It's very important. Every possession matters. It's the game's kind of slower. We're not scoring 120 points. You probably get in the 70s, 80s. So we got to play defense. I always tell people with spacings, that's big. It's like college on steroids. In
Hmm.
NBA, you can't stand 3 seconds. Here we have 7-footers standing in the paint all day. The court's just as small like college. It ain't like a big
Hmm.
NBA court. You gotta learn how to shoot the ball really well. You gotta have a high IQ to be able to play at this level, high level. It's not just basketball. You gotta be able to think the game over here.
Yep. No, that's what it seems like watching from afar
Mm.
too, and it,
Yeah.
it makes it for a fun product. I think
Oh, it's awesome. It's
if
all.
we
I
could
think
see
it's real
more of that in
basketball.
America, people
Yeah,
would
I
watch it. I
agree.
think.
We're missing it. I think that's why the NBA is watering down during the regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, you were drafted to the NBA. You played
Mhm.
a decent amount over here and had a couple, good games. And I think you were a guy that maybe could have established more of a foothold, if you'd have wanted to do that. But there's also some risk of that, right? Like the D League at the time was not the G League of today. So it was a little probably a tougher grind. You're playing in front of empty arenas in Bismarck, North Dakota and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
was that part of the decision? Like, hey, I could grind this out and maybe not catch on the way I want to, or I could go overseas and have like a really good career. I guess what was that sort of decision making process like?
After my first year, going to my second year, staying for a couple months and getting released, and then doing the G League or the D League, and then getting a couple 10 days, and then going to the D League. It was tough, you know what I mean? Because I felt like I played really well in the D League, first team all D League, and I really felt like I didn't get a great opportunity when I was in the league. And it happens, not every situation is going to be, fit you. So, and I just when I got an offer from my agent, I mean, it was 7 figures, so I couldn't pass it down tax free. I'm like, my agent was like, go over there, play well. You can continue to make this type of money, or you can come back over to the NBA, try it again. And when I went over there, I fell in love with it, honestly. I really did. I got to play, I felt an important role. I felt like, people, loved me, accepted me, appreciated me.
Makes
So I
sense.
kind of really embraced that, and I just fell in love with that ever since. There were times where I think my second year overseas, I was in Valencia. I had
Mhm.
people ask me all the time, "When come to, do a 2-way, come do this, come do that." And I'm just like, "No, I'm good. I'm making great money. I'm actually, like I said, I'm being appreciative. People, playing. I'm
Mhm.
happy, and this is where I want to be."
I think it probably helps that you played an NBA game and got to check that box
Yeah.
and fulfill a lifelong dream. I'm sure there, but at a certain point, the playing piece I think is a really underrated thing that people kind of as fans were like, well, why wouldn't this guy want to be in the NBA? Well, you can be 10th, 11th man, or you could be league player of the year kind of thing. And especially for
Fact.
you, like you were a high usage guy at Virginia Tech. So to go
Mhm.
somewhere and sit at the end of the bench was probably a tough mental change too.
Man, it was hard. I mean, you go 7, 8 games without touching the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, this is cool. I'm in the NBA, but this is, I miss playing. I want to hoop. I actually love basketball. I
Yeah.
really love being out there. I love competing, so, I love the experience. I've learned so much, and I got to check off that box. But at the end of the day, I think I found my home, and I'm okay with that. And then I made a great living off of it, and I get to play, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Buried the lead here a little bit. You were 2013 ACC Player of the Year. I think you guys were probably not as successful as a team that year as you would have
Hmm.
liked, but to get that kind of recognition, on a team that wasn't like winning the ACC, should tell everybody listening to this like what a bad man you were out there. And yeah, I think there's something to that of like weren't a 5-star recruit, didn't start out super well like at Virginia Tech that first year. Like you really had
Yeah.
to lock in, it seems like. And I've heard, like, I've seen interviews or comments where he said, like, I had to like live in the gym after that, and that
Mhm.
motivated you. I think those like players like yourself are the kind of guys that seem to thrive more overseas when someone's at like this, top tier power 5 school, 5-star recruit, and then they end up in Greece or something. It seems like those are the guys that have the tougher time making that mental adjustment. But when you've had to work for kind of every step along the way, it seems like people like you then go have more success overseas.
100%. For me, man, I could just speak for myself. Man, I had to work my whole life. Nothing was given to me. I'm from a small town, so I didn't get even like a stars until I started playing my last 2 years of high school basketball, and I got to
Yeah.
become a 3-star. And so for me, it was just always work, work, work. That's all I knew. And then when I got to college my freshman year, like people say, like, "Hey, I'm working hard." You don't really know what
Sure.
working hard is until you're around it and actually see it for yourself.
Hmm.
And like when you're not playing, you have a choice. Either you sit there and mope around, or you get your butt in the gym and keep fighting and pushing. You don't give up. And there was a point. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a point I thought about giving up my freshman year. I'm like, man, I'm not playing a lot. Like, what's going on? I'm making excuses, but also I wasn't putting in the extra work.
Hmm.
I wasn't. I could be honest with you. I wasn't really, going as hard as I should have been going. Like that I learned later down the road. And then you
You
look
don't know
yourself
what
in
you
the
don't know, right? Like
Exactly, exactly. And my mom always said to me at the end of my freshman year, before I wanted to transfer, I'm like, I want to transfer. She's like, can you look yourself in the mirror and tell me that you've done everything you're supposed to do? And I was like, no. So going into my sophomore year, I started living in the gym.
Mhm.
And, I started, starting, my average went up to like 10 points. Did that going into my junior year, went up to 15, almost 16 points. And then that senior year, it was just a whole nother level. It just clicked. I think I wish it would have clicked one more year earlier, but it clicked and I figured it out, and it was just all she wrote from there. Yeah.
Yeah, that it was super cool to follow, and for me, like I said, as a Maryland fan, it wasn't like this real hatred or anything. I don't think between Maryland and Virginia Tech. So it was nice to be able to say like, all right, that's a guy that played here in the DMV, like he's doing well. But Virginia Tech at the time, like I imagine you guys probably weren't taking like chartered flights and
Oh yeah, we were living great, doing amazing. Yeah, living nice hotels, charter
sure.
flights every game. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Was that a change to go from that and then even in the NBA, and then you spend some time in the D League? It's a little different living, and then overseas, I'm sure there's some stops you've had along the way where you weren't quite as the accommodations weren't quite as plush. Let's say maybe.
100%. I mean, you go to college where everything's taken care of for you. Great. I mean, charter flights, NBA is the same way.
Mhm.
Then you go to over here and to the G League, it's not like that. You're in economy, it's different, tight, small flights, different layovers all over the
Bus
place.
rides, yeah.
Bus rides, exactly. Then you come to Europe and you play for some of the the top programs.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like that. You get some charter flights, but most of the time, I mean, everything is. I mean, they took great care of us. I can't say anything wrong about that. Um, so for me, Europe, I mean, it ain't the NBA. You're not private jet everywhere, stuff like that. But if you get in the right situation, you get well taken care of, man, and everything's good house, good car. They make
Mhm.
sure you're taken care of pretty well. But not every situation's like that. I've heard some
Sure,
situations for other people, but for me speaking, I can't say too nothing bad.
that's good. That's another reason why it's important to do your homework before you go
Right,
overseas too.
100%, 100%.
You mentioned last 2 years of high school and being able to get a couple stars next to your name there. You played at Paul VI, and that's in a very tough basketball league here in the DC area, as everybody is probably aware listening to this. So, how did that help you? Right, playing against tough competition every night it probably gave you a chance to make a name for yourself a little bit more there, coming from a smaller school before that. But I guess when you get no nights off that early on in your basketball career, how did that kind of help shape where you are now?
It helped me a lot, honestly, because the public school I was at before, we
Mhm.
maybe had 3, 4 good games on the schedule. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Where I had to show up those games and perform really well. And the other
Mhm.
games I could coast and still get
Yep.
20, 18, 20. You know what I mean? And for me, it was kind of like when I went to Paul the Six was an eye opener. It was like, oh, I got to bring it every night. You know what I mean? I'm going up against the time Malik Wayne's. I had to go to Philly to play him. I had to
Mhm.
go. We played in Florida. We went to go play. Kendall Marshall, Tyler
Mhm.
Thornton, Rashad. I mean, these guys were all 4 or 5 stars back in the day. And it's like every night is someone's coming for my head too. I'm with
Mhm.
Virginia Tech, ACC. I'm a new guy. I had this hype. Who is this kid?
Mhm.
He's coming from a not a great public school,
Sure.
so it really woke me up, and it really, Coach Farello, man, he opened my eyes to a lot. He pushed me to a whole nother level that I thought I was working hard again. But when you go to private school and you fight at WCAC, it's a whole different level up there.
Mentioned some good names there, but was there one guy locally that you played against that was really the first dude where you're like, oh shit, like it's a little different closer to the DC area here? Was there, I don't know, a tough matchup or a rival you had particularly the last couple years?
In high school, it was always
Yeah,
Kendall Marshall.
yeah, that's a good one.
It's just we're both from Virginia. When we
Yeah.
were young, we always saw each other. Then we got into high school. He was at Boo Williams. I was at Team Takeover.
Mm.
Um, and then O'Connell. It was just always I see him in the summer camps. It was just always, we used to battle. And it was
Mhm.
always a fun battle, and it was nothing but respect for him because he was a heck of a ball player. But it was always fun to get a chance to go up against him. I'm a competitor, so whoever they say is better than me, I'm going at him.
And then you got to see him for a couple more years in
Oh
college after
yeah,
that too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And yes, sir, I did.
It seemed like a lot of guys from this area ended up at ACC schools at the time
Mm.
too. So it's like, oh, I know that guy. I know that guy.
Yeah, for
So
sure. It's small world, definitely DMV. Great,
yeah.
great basketball players, and they're all over the place. So you always run into them.
Ever see any guys from this general area while you've been playing overseas, or run into a couple DMV
All the
guys?
time. I
Really?
actually just ran into Rodney Magruder,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Thomas Robinson.
Yeah.
Who else? I can't even think right now, but there's a lot of guys from the DMV area that are over here that I run into.
I was just at a Maryland game last night and I saw James Gist, and I know he's been
Oh
playing overseas
man,
for several years.
I've played
Yeah.
against him. Chris Wright played against him.
Yeah.
Those guys, man, guys I looked up to when I was in school. Chris Wright, I was a big fan of him.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, great. Phil Goss, I played against
Mhm.
him. So I mean, there's some big time guys down that way that I got a chance to play against when I was younger.
That's cool.
That I got to look up to when I was a kid.
It can be a grind overseas sometimes, I'm sure. So what do you do to protect your mental health? Like I'm sure it's gotten better and you have more ways to get in touch with your family and stuff like that now than you did at the beginning of your career. But even streaming stuff is probably easier now than it was,
Oh
in the
yeah. Oh
2013
yes.
timeframe. But what else do you do? How do you kind of like, you know, keep your eyes on the prize there?
I always try to find something else to do besides basketball. I
Okay.
always tell people, don't sit in the house, don't just sit and watch movies all day. Get out and
Mhm.
explore the city. Treat it like America in a way. As in, you know what I mean? Like you're back home, find stuff to do. Whatever
Mhm.
you enjoy to do, most likely most cities have it. If
Sure.
you want, you know what I mean? Sitting in the house for 8 hours every single day playing video games,
Not healthy.
eventually
Yeah.
it's not healthy. You're gonna just sit there and be miserable. Um, and it also helped with me having a family. Have my kids to come over, and I get to go out and do play stuff with them, get my mind off basketball. But like I said, I always try to find something. If it's something, I love the beach. So anytime I can get to a beach, just
That's
lay
good.
out, just relax, get my mental right,
Mhm.
read a little bit. Um, figure out something I want to do after basketball, which I want to get into coaching.
Nice. Okay.
So just playing but it's a lot easier now than it was,
I'm sure.
back in the day. So
Mentioned, the family being back here in the States. Uh, does the team kind of say, or can you work this into your contract where you get a certain amount of flights, or do you bring them over? Or I
oh
guess how
yeah.
does that work out?
So the team, they take care of me. I get 4 flights, so I get to bring them over anytime I want. You only if you're not married, you get 90 days.
Okay.
So they come over, yeah, they get to come over for 9 days, and they got to go back home for a day or two, and then they can come
Sure.
right back.
Okay.
But yeah, my family always comes out. I get to see my kids. My son will be out here soon, and then my daughter's going to come out here, I think in March or April.
Awesome.
My mom comes out everywhere I go. My dad comes out. So, it's my friends. My friends always come out too. So I always try to, at least once a month, I try to have somebody come out to keep
That
me
helps,
keep
I'm
me
sure.
sane.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep me
exactly.
sane. Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to have you home too, but I'm sure
Uh,
it's cool for them to get to,
hmm
experience these things through what you're doing too.
Oh yeah. My sister's 14, 15 years old, man. She's been to
Okay.
5 countries.
That's awesome.
You know, and like I tell her all the time, I'm like, embrace and enjoy it. Kids don't ever get a chance to even see the world like you get a chance to see the world.
That's
So it's
very
pretty
true.
cool.
Yeah, I like I mentioned, I was in Italy last week. It was my first time there, and I went for work, and I'm like, maybe I'll just stay. Like
Yeah. I love Europe, man. I love it. I love the vibe. It's so slow paced. It's just me. I just like that. It's
that's
not
cool.
everything's not in a rush. You know what I mean? I just love that.
Some guys hang around after they're done. Any
Yes,
thoughts on that,
sir.
or are you?
Uh I'm not say I'm gonna hang around. I want to get into coaching, but I've always said I want to take my son if he really wants to do this, if he's really
Mhm.
serious. I'm gonna bring him over here and let him play.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, just they do things differently over
Yeah,
here.
learn the game a different
Learn the
kind of way, right?
game, yes, in a different kind of way. They have a high IQ. They teach these kids at a young age the right stuff that I like, is which is basketball. Play the right way, basketball. So I would love him to do that and play against older guys. I'm a big on that. You can be
Mhm.
15,
Yeah.
16 here and play against pros. So if this is what you want to do, be a pro, then let's go
Yeah.
do it. That's my goal for him.
That's a great way to look at it too. It's like kind of the ultimate proving ground there of just like, all right,
Mhm.
you like, let's see where you're at and
Let's
measure
see where
yourself
you're
against
at.
peers.
Yeah, exactly right. And these kids, like you said, they're young age to play professional, and NBA scouts drool over that. If
That's
that
true.
is your goal, if that's what you really want to do, then I can open the doors for you and give you that opportunity. Let's do it.
You hear so much about like, between the Olympics and how other, countries are catching up to the rest of the world. And it's the way we teach basketball versus the way they teach basketball. And you mentioned some of those things there, but is there one specific thing you notice about players that are like taught the game in Europe, uh, beyond just sort of like general basketball IQ? But is there a specific thing that you see repeatedly that you just don't see from American players?
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see a little bit, but I think overseas, the Europeans, like I said, at 14, 15 years age, they're playing with grown men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're on the court. Like that's the best way you're gonna learn. I mean, yeah, you're gonna go out there and get killed. They're gonna
Sure.
give you, yeah, but
Mhm.
if that's how you're gonna learn. That's how you get better. You playing against your age the whole entire time doesn't get you better.
Mhm.
Being against a grown man physically, picking their brain IQ, they see things way, way before you see it. You know what I mean? And you're being around it, even off the court, you become more of a man. You pick it up, you become more mature. Um, and it's just stuff like that. I remember I played Luca when he was 16.
Wow.
I vividly remember him. I remember coming home
Yeah.
after that year and telling all my friends about him, and they were kind of like, "Yeah, right, the
Sure.
European."
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right." And just the way he played, I mean, he was 16 years old. His pace was unbelievable. The way
Mhm.
he could control a game, the way he was so patient, and I'm just like, wow, for 16, the way he read the game, I'm just like, man, for 16 years old, that's very impressive. Um, and you see that all the time here. I got a 16-year-old kid on my team who practices with us, and I'm just like,
Okay.
okay, I can see why eventually you're going to be more advanced than the high school kids,
Yeah.
because you're around us, you get to see it, you get to compete with us every single day,
Mhm.
and you get better.
I think you just have to problem solve better in those
Exactly.
situations, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
yeah, it's cool to watch, and yeah, the more international flavor we get here, I cover the Wizards a good amount. We've got a couple French players now, and
Yes,
they move a little different, so
they
you can just
do.
get
They
them.
do. Yeah. And France is kind of more of an NBA style, up and down.
Sure.
So them guys get to transition a lot
Mhm.
easier. But like I said, man, when you get around grown men, you get to play and practice with them every single day. I think you're going to be more advanced and be more ready, than the next average kid.
That makes a lot of sense. Uh, just I don't know. You probably had some crazy experiences there. Ever have just a totally wild situation that you tell? Like, what's the first overseas story you tell your friends about when they ask like what it's like over there? Just to kind of paint the picture of how different it is from playing in the U.S.
Olympiacos versus Panathinaikos, my first game.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the craziest thing I ever witnessed in my life.
Mhm.
Before the game, they were like, if we're winning and there's like 5 or 6 seconds, just drop the ball and take off running. And I'm kind of like, what? Like, what do you mean? They're like, I
Get off the
advise you
court.
to get off their court very
Wow.
quickly. And so we won. There was probably like 8 or 9 seconds. We're up like 10 or something.
Yeah.
So we just dropped the ball, and you see fans trying to jump over the rails. We have a net around the whole court.
Mhm.
We have security leading us into the locker room. After the game, we had to stay like an hour. We couldn't leave because the fans were trying to get at us.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
kind of crazy. They throw coins at you, lighters at you. Um, you see stuff that you just like, there's no way in the world this is
Yeah.
happening. But they have passion, they love it. They're kind of crazy, but I that was an experience that I just was like, you have to be there
Mhm.
to really like, see it. I've never had someone had to walk me out underneath a shield. Police had that was
Mhm.
really crazy to me.
Uh, Someone else told me about that same matchup, and they said in the layup lines before a game, someone shot a flare and it hit a player in their shorts, and the guy had to literally like leave the game to get ready.
I believe it. They shoot flares all the time. So it's not even, that's 100% true. I could believe that.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, like my alma mater, but Maryland, I think, had a bad reputation maybe for being one of the tougher fan bases in
Yes,
the
you guys
ACC.
were.
I'm sorry for all of my fellow alums here. I think we're a little mellower these days, it seems like, but it still seems like nothing you hear here in the States compares to the things that happen overseas.
Oh no, the games in America are kind of like boring. I mean, it's cool, but you got to come over here to experience it. They don't stop from the time the jump ball goes to the end of the clock, and you'll see fans jump over the thing, try to get to the players. Like it's crazy. It's really crazy, man. It's really crazy.
That's very cool. You get some good stories out of it at least. So
Oh yeah, good stories, good laughs. Yeah.
any new hobbies or new foods you picked up overseas that like now are your go-tos, but weren't things you would have done, before you got over there?
Yeah, I wasn't a big. I won't say I would say pasta. I wasn't like a huge pasta person, but I eat pasta now that I'm overseas all the time. I love some good pasta. Anything, honestly, whatever. I
Naples is a
tell
good
this,
city for that too. So
it is, and the pizza's so good here. So that's really it. Honestly, I eat anything. Honestly, you know, whatever, steak, chicken, whatever. I have a big, I do whatever. So it doesn't matter to me.
now being flexible, I think, makes that transition even easier. So that's good.
Yeah.
Best advice you've been given or would give to other young players, whether it's just guys coming out of the DMV here that are working their way into college, or guys that are about to head overseas and play.
Going to college, you might be the man in high school, you know what I mean? But, when you go to another level like college, it's just like going from middle school to high school. It's always a jump, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to transition, you gotta work hard, you gotta buy into the system, College basketball is different than what it is nowadays, what it used to be. A lot of young guys, if you're a freshman, they kind of want older guys because a lot of coaches got to win now. You know what I mean? So wait your time, be patient. Don't always run. If stuff ain't working out, don't just jump to the next thing. You know what I mean? That's not how life works. You know what I mean? You got to compete. You got to fight. You got to dig down deep. And, you know what I mean? Go through the bad. It ain't always gonna be good. It's not gonna be that. And then just from college going overseas, I tell guys all the time, leave your habits, American habits, in America, because when you come over here, it's a whole nother game. The way they think, the way they do stuff, it's just the game's slower. You know what I mean? If you try to do your thing, it's not going to work. But if you come over here and buy in, embrace the country, embrace this, where you're at, the city, embrace what the coach is trying to do. If you do that, you'll adapt faster. But for people who try to fight it, I did. I was one of them at first. Wanted to do things my way, the NBA way, the American way. I struggled for the first few months. And also listen to your vets, guys who are over here trying to help you. That's a big thing too, man. We've all been through it. I have guys younger, like they're 2 years out, 3 years out. And, I see them do things. I'm like, nah, don't do that, bro. Just,
Trust me. Yeah.
just trust me. That's not the route you want to take. You know what I mean? Make sure you're on time. It's a little thing. It's very detailed. These guys are very detail oriented over here. So when he says get to that corner, it means get to that corner. When he says wait on that screen, it means wait on that screen. Every possession here matters. Every little detail matters. So just lock in. I tell guys all the time in basketball, you get 2 hours out of your day where you have to practice. So come in, focus, lock in, and just do your job. You know what I mean? It's just do your job and everything will be okay.
It seems a lot more practice oriented over there of like, we will maybe practice every day for this set amount of time, but you don't
Oh
play
yeah.
quite many games, right?
Yeah, so sometimes you'll play twice a week, sometimes you play once a week. It's practice. A lot of it is practice, practice, practice. They are a believer in practice. Execution is huge.
Yeah.
You might go on 5-on-0 for 30 minutes in practice, and you're like, "Come on, man, what are we doing?"
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? But when you get in the game, you're like, "All right, we got to execute," and we execute. So it does pay off. But yeah, man, I'm 33, and I still every day had to do 5-on-0, 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 and I'm just like in my head, I'm like, "Come on, man."
Not had
But
enough of
no,
this. Yeah.
yeah, I've had enough of it. I've had enough of it. But no, it does pay off, man. And it's funny to watch the younger guys. They did the same thing I was doing, sitting here like, dang, can we hurry up, and move on to back, like playing or
No.
something? So
Yeah, that's funny. Both great pieces of advice. And when I was talking about your transition that first year of Virginia Tech, I just couldn't help but think about how many guys today with the multi-time transfer, are moving on to the next thing already, where if they maybe just stuck it out a little longer, they could, you know, end up having the
Opportunity,
type of progression you did.
for sure. Opportunity, man. I feel like, eventually you will get an opportunity, and it's just on you to be prepared for that opportunity.
Mhm.
And some people aren't prepared, and then they make excuses why I didn't get it. And it's just like, if you look in the mirror, you had a chance and you didn't show it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Anything you've ever had to go without overseas? Tape, ice, Gatorade, like those kind of things. Sometimes you just hear about certain countries like, oh, we don't do this over here.
Nah, I haven't been. I can't say I've been grateful, man. I've had everything done professionally. I've had some instances where money was late and like a month, whatever. But I mean,
Okay.
that's sometimes some teams it's just natural. A couple
Yeah,
weeks, a month, it's not really. I mean, it sucks, but you get used to it being over here.
that's cool. Uh, who's the next guy from the DMV here that you think we should talk to on the podcast?
Ooh, it's a good question. There's a lot of good ones. Have you got a chance to talk to Chris Wright?
I've tried a couple times to reach out to Chris, so I will circle back there because he's doing some stuff with the Wizards now too. So it'd be a
Okay.
nice little double episode.
Let me say. I'm trying to think. If you give me, I can't really think of some names right now. I'm trying to. Who's
All good.
overseas?
We could DM offline here if you think of anybody
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure. Definitely, man. It would definitely, people need to hear these stories. People definitely hear what's going on around the world, and
Yep.
everybody's journey is different. So definitely hear different perspectives of people. So that'd be good.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's so many good stories about people from this area, so we could relate to where people came from and then see where they end up is always really cool.
Exactly.
Uh, anything you want to leave fans, listeners with that we didn't talk about here, or anything you have going on off the court that you want to tell folks about?
I had a restaurant for a while, for 3 years.
Oh,
It was called Stop Smacking. I'm getting into real estate.
okay.
In Winchester, Virginia.
Mhm.
So, for me personally, just, to the young guys out there, man, continue to work hard. I always have a basketball. I love to just show kids a basketball because basketball took me around the world. It changed my life. I met amazing people, got a chance to see things that I never would have thought a small town kid would have chance to see. Uh, got a chance to make a lot of money doing this.
That's great too.
It changed my life. So, it's definitely, man, don't think it's just NBA or nothing. There's an opportunity out here that's, Europe is getting bigger. It's
Mhm.
all over. It's getting huge. And there's just guys, if you don't make the NBA, come to Europe, play well, you got a chance to go back to the NBA. Or if not, make a lot of money in Europe and live a great life and be successful. But don't just think it's NBA or bust. There's a lot of opportunities out here. And most importantly, man, get a chance to see the world and open up your eyes. Because when you do that, you're blessed and you get to really, really see like what's going on in this world.
Yeah, the basketball world's getting smaller too,
It
and with the
is.
way
It
video
is.
is now, like if you're playing well somewhere, the
Somebody will
NBA
see
will
you.
find you. Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't matter what school you go to; they'll find you.
Absolutely. Any social media handles that people can check out to follow the journey here for you?
Yeah, check out my Instagram. It's egreen11 underscore 11VT. Check it out. Follow me. My journey. Any questions? Anybody ever wants to hit me up and ask me questions, man? DM me. I'd love to tell you about my journey. Love to give you any advice. And if you're coming overseas, give you any advice and the right way to do things and how to handle things so you can have a successful career.
That's awesome. And if anybody needs a European team to follow Napoli Basket for the year, that's our squad we're rocking with. So
Yes, sir.
make sure to check them out here too. You've been more than gracious with your time. Thank you so much for doing this. Get healthy, have a good season here, and look forward to following you along the way.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody, you know the drill. Hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Rate, review, subscribe. We always appreciate that stuff. We're presented by betonline.ag, and we will catch y'all